Allison coming to you live from Amelia Island, Florida on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. And I am so excited. I am trying to maintain my composure and be calm and cool as a cucumber like I normally am. But if I get a little giddy and a little, crazy, then you'll understand, because I'm so excited to have my guest on today. He has been a mentor of mine in network marketing for probably about 3 years. I've been in the business for about 4, and I bumped into him probably about a year into my business. Somebody sent me a video, and I've been watching him and following him and his wife, Jessica, ever since. And I am so excited. He is just an incredible mentor and coach. He's so incredibly generous with his time and his coaching and his knowledge of the network marketing industry and marketing in general. And he is going to tell a little bit about his story, but he literally lost everything in the real estate crash back in around 2009. And he found a way to rebuild and create financial freedom for himself and his family. So without further ado, let me bring on my guest, Ray Higdon. Ray.
Hey, what's happening?
I'm so excited to have you here. We are going to dive into your book in a minute, but I'm just going to ask you a few questions. I'm so excited about this book. I just launched on Tuesday, so congratulations to you and Jessica for that. My copy arrived on Tuesday, the day of the launch, so I'm just digging in. It was perfect timing.
Nice.
I'm going to ask you a few questions. So you did lose everything. You had some success in a couple of different industries.
Yeah.
And then you went into real estate, worked hard, did really well, lost it all in the crash.
Yes.
So yeah, I've heard your story. It was a very difficult, dark time in your life.
Yeah.
What drew you to the network marketing industry in that time when there's no guarantee that you'll make money in the network marketing industry? What drew you to that?
I don't know that it was so much of, man, I really want to do that. It was more of, I don't have any options.
Right.
Because, back then, so, I'm here in Florida, and when the real estate market crashed here, there were a few states, California, Vegas, there were a few states that were really, really affected by the real estate market. I mean, everywhere was, but literally everyone I knew was either in foreclosure or going into foreclosure, like every single person I knew.
Yeah.
And because so many people had gotten into the real estate lottery, basically, of you just buy any house for any amount, list it for hire, and it sells. It's amazing. Yeah. And so, that's what people had, been used to, and it just seemed to never end, but then it did.
Right.
And so, no one is hiring.
Right.
Nobody. There's not one job available because companies are folding. And if, I even know business owners that killed themselves. And, and it was extreme. People lost millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And so no one's hiring. My credit is shot. I'm out of money. And like, what are my options? I really didn't have many. I'm very,
very in foreclosure at this point. You're over $1 million in debt at this point. I know at this point you have 2 kids. You have 2 boys at that point. Yeah. So things are desperate for you at that point.
For sure.
Right.
And so, I had attempted network marketing in the past, and, I'd made a little bit of money, but it was a bad experience for me. I had, some weird experiences with uplines and companies that told me I could do marketing a certain way and then told me later I couldn't. And so I'd kind of sworn off network marketing, but I really didn't have much of an option because, I needed something that was very low cost and something that a high upside because I was so much in debt.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank goodness that your friend offered the opportunity to you. And before I ask my next question, I do want to tell my audience that you and Jess started a group called Rank Makers.
Yeah.
And you have a private Facebook group. You coach tens of thousands of people all over the world. And that's kind of how I got connected. But just a quick funny story. Last year, when you did the Rank Makers Live down in Orlando, I signed up, drove down because I live on Amelia Island, and attended the conference, which was amazing, by the way.
Awesome.
And so, in the course of those few days, I was meeting people, chatting with people. And during the conversation, inevitably somebody would say, so how long have you been in Rank Makers? And I'm like, I'm not in Rank Makers. I wasn't a part of Rank Makers. I just obviously had maybe taken a course of yours or something and connected that way. And so the whole weekend, I'm like, am I supposed to be here? Is this an accident? Somebody is going to quietly come up to me and say, you need to go. This is a
Get out of here.
You're out of here. So thanks for not kicking me out. And of course, I signed up the minute I got home. So
that's awesome.
And I just love what you and Jess do in that group. So over the 4 years that I've been a part of network marketing, and I know you're familiar with this, I hear a lot of like poisonous comments about network marketing and network marketers, just a lot of pessimism, a lot of negativity. What are your thoughts on why that is? And why would you tell somebody to take another look at network marketing like you did?
Yeah. So, no one, it lacks logic for someone to not like the idea of network marketing. It's just they've been turned off by network marketers.
Yeah.
And so network marketing, there's nothing, to be angry at. Like if you had a restaurant that would compensate you for inviting people to that restaurant, and anyone they invited, you'd say, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You would literally say hell yeah to anything that did that.
Yeah.
The only thing that would make you alter or tarnish that thought, because it's just like, oh, cool, I'm just telling people something I like and I get compensated for it. That's awesome. The only thing that would tarnish it is if they were making you do it in a weird way.
Yeah.
And so, for example, I've seen, trainers teach things like, reaching out to people, and saying, hey, will you do me a favor and support me and buy a product? That doesn't make someone feel good. It doesn't feel good for the person hearing that. And it doesn't feel good for the person asking that usually, unless you are more of a, entitled kind of person.
Right.
And then you don't really even appreciate the person that does it anyway. And so it's just not good. Or if you're leading with hype. So, if you're reaching out to people and you're using the exceptional story as the ammunition,
Right.
Like, there's a guy somewhere that made $1 million really fast, then you're setting up disappointment, you're misleading, and it's just something. So this is a great gift that is yours to screw up, or are yours to really embody and embrace. And so, give you an example. If I'm talking to someone, when I was recruiting, so I my wife and I retired from actively building 4 years ago, just to focus on coaching and training. But when I was building, if I talked to somebody and they said, well, how long until I'm making big money? Well, that's a very important question. How you answer it really determines what, your longevity in this space and how you're going to make people feel. If I grab on to the exceptional story of how Tony made, $50,000 his first month, then I'm not doing the network marketing business a favor. I'm not helping anything out. I'm actually hurting it.
Yeah.
Instead, I just look at, okay, let's think about this. What are their options? And so if someone says, well, how long till I'm making big money? I say, well, what if it took 5 years?
Right.
And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, do you have a way that in the next 5 years to make a whole bunch of extra money on the side? If you do, that's awesome.
Right. Go do it.
More.
Yeah.
But, if I set the expectations that it's going to be fast, easy, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to sell, you don't have to, talk to people, then I'm not doing it a service. I'm just looking to get that bonus because I don't care about them.
Right.
And that's a big mistake. And so, I care more about their expectations than just making that sign up bonus, because the money isn't in the sign up bonuses. The money, if you're, let's just say you don't care about people and you only care about the money. Well, the money is in having people stick around longer so that they can talk to more people. And so even at that point, it's not good to use these hypey stories. It's better to set their expectations correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Thank you for that. And thank you for teaching network marketers how to be professional and how to go out there and not screw it up.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot that still are.
Yeah. And if you think about it, I mean, if you like, no real estate broker goes out there and says, you don't have to do anything and you'll make lots of money, because they know that why have someone against them and mad at them? Why have someone that doesn't want to do the work? And I've seen people that they'll complain that, man, I got a bunch of lazy reps. And I look at their marketing and I'm like, well, your marketing over here says you don't have to talk to anybody. Do you think they're going to see that and think, you know what, I'm going to talk to people anyway?
Right.
No. They're going to do less
expectation, right,
than what you said. You're going to say it's really easy. They're going to do even less than that.
Right.
And so don't say it's simple. It's simple, not easy.
Yes,
exactly. And so that's the distinction.
Exactly. Thank you for that. All right, let's talk the book. I'm so excited about this book, Time, Money, Freedom. And honestly, who doesn't want time, money, and freedom?
Yes.
If you already have time, money, and freedom, be so grateful for that. And I'm sure you worked hard to get it. So you and Jessica wrote this book together. It's 10 simple rules to redefine what's possible and radically reshape your life.
Yeah.
So I'm only through the introduction and into chapter 1. I know your story. I know a little bit about Jess's story, and I know that you are vulnerable in this book. So thank you for that. I think it's important for people to see your story.
Yeah.
So why did you and Jessica feel like this was an important book to write, and why now?
Well, full disclosure, we didn't start this during the pandemic,
right,
but man, is it needed right now. And so it's, we wanted, in the past we've written, strategy books, like what to do on social media, how to be a better leader. So they've been very strategic, solved a certain problem.
Sure.
And the reality is that can only take someone so far. If they're not thinking about their life differently and thinking about, what are the bigger things than just strategy? Like, who do I want to be? How do I want to be known? How do I want my great-great-grandchildren to refer to me on the family tree? What type of person do I really want to impact and leave lasting change or make a difference with? And so this is because if you do this, right, if you do the strategies in this, then or if you get what we talk about in here about thinking bigger and showing up more powerfully and just playing at a different level, then the strategy piece is actually not that difficult. Everyone looks for what's the next script, what's the button on Instagram that will get me the most likes, what's the they're looking at this, right, with tweezers and
not,
but if they got to step back and say, who am I being?
Yes.
Who am I?
Yes.
Because if you alter who you're being and how you show up, this stuff handles itself mostly. A couple tweaks, right? And so we felt like we wanted to make something that there's only one criteria for this to be helpful. And that is the reader has to desire improvement in their finances and or relationships.
Yes.
If the reader desires improvement in their finances and or relationships, then they're going to get massive benefit from it. And we wanted to create a roadmap, a set of action steps, a set of strategies that will help them get through that process. What took me from even before foreclosure, what took me from WIC checks, payday advances, working at a job I didn't like, to building a business that impacts a lot of people every single day, to being a best-selling author, to be a in-demand speaker and things of that nature. Well, these are the steps. And so we talk about, here's how I left the corporate world. Here's what I actually did during my lunch break. Right. And so we break down how to go from where you currently are to a life where you have more time, money, and freedom. Yeah.
And thank you to the Winn-Dixie manager when you asked that question. That story, I've heard it before, but it breaks my heart every time that Winn-Dixie manager just made a decision to stay small and to stay stuck. Yeah.
It's who would have known that at 18 years old, and I'm like a total punk, that, asking that question would like,
you had the wherewithal, the forward thinking to ask that question right at 18, and how that had a massive effect on your life. So good on you for asking that. All right, one more question, I'll let you go. I know you're a busy guy. So I looked at the table of contents, and I wanted to just ask one chapter that I'm really excited to read, and it's chapter number 2, because I think it's probably one of the most important, is Pluck Your Weeds.
Yeah.
So if you can just leave us, like, what do you mean, and give us one little nugget on how can we start plucking our weeds?
Yeah, it's interesting, as I don't know if a lot of people are just getting to that chapter because it's so new, it just came out Tuesday,
Yes.
Or if that's just such an interesting concept that people haven't really heard. But a lot of people seem to be buzzing about Pluck Your Weeds. So and there's misconception. I was on an interview yesterday, and this person thought that Pluck Your Weeds meant only to get rid of people in your life that suck.
No.
And so I'm not saying not to do that.
Right.
But it really is identifying what in your sphere, what in your realm, people, things, habits, location, what are the things in your life that just aren't congruent with your dream life? And so, plucking your weeds is identifying the things that you don't care for, identifying the things that aren't serving you. And so this could look like, I remember sitting at a car wash. I don't like washing my car. I know some guys do, like they really get into it. I don't get into it, man. I'm just I'm like, someone needs to do that for me. And I remember sitting at a car wash with bad Wi-Fi and just sitting there. I'm just like, why am I doing this? Like, why can't I just have someone come to my house? And so never again did I ever go to a car wash. And here's what's funny. I get a much better job for about the same price. That's what's funny about this. I remember waiting in line. There were 3 cars in front of me to drop off my dry cleaning. And I'm like, man, why can't someone just come and pick up my dry cleaning? So now someone comes and picks up my dry cleaning. And it's a service, and it's I think it's the exact same price, but I don't have to go and goof off and waiting in lines and things like that. And so it's just identifying every little piece of energy that isn't serving of you, that may be stealing time from you, that may be causing you dismay. A recent example is, we had built a house and our dream home, really. We built our dream home in a dream community. We loved it. It was awesome. But we realized a couple things. One, we have 2 smaller kids. We got my 5-year-old daughter, and we have a 1-year-old. And we didn't know this at the time of building the house, but there's really no kids in there. And it's a lot of amazing adults. It's a great community, but there are really no kids. And then number 2, we started Sabrina in a school in Naples, and it was a 45-minute drive every day. And it was a very tough decision, but has totally changed our life. We decided to sell that house. And so we sold that house, moved to Naples to be closer. And I think there's something, I don't know if I even go into this a whole lot into the book, but as you start to say, I'm worthy of better, I'm worthy of better, I'm worthy of better, you become worthy of better. And so, like, there's so many things in our life that have improved because of that move. And so it's kind of a double whammy, or a double benefit, I should say, not whammy, but it's like a double benefit when you identify a weed and say, you know what, bink, I'm not doing that anymore. We're changing this. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, they're ready for the next level. They're worth something higher. And it reminds me of a quote that I share in the book by Maureen Dowd. And that is, the minute you settle for less than you deserve, you're worth less than what you settled for.
Wow.
If you're settling for a relationship that isn't great, if you're settling for the non-ideal desk, it could be as simple as that. Like if you come and you're like, it's crappy, the drawer's falling off, and the one leg is nicked, and like, get a new desk. You're worth it.
Right.
If you're not proud of the pen, my mentor, Mark Hoverson, used to talk a lot about this, but if you're not proud of the pen that you write checks with, honor yourself by getting a kick-ass pen. Go get your $100 Mont Blanc or whatever, right? And so like, just honoring yourself, and all of a sudden you're worth more.
I love that, Ray. And what I love is that you and Jessica don't waste a lot of time thinking. You're like, okay, we need to make a decision, a hard decision, granted.
Hard. Yeah.
You don't, you just make it. You're like, I'm sure it didn't happen overnight, but when you realize, hey, this isn't quite going to work for us, you made the decision and you made some changes. So I love that. Well, listen, I'm going to be ILTEing this book for sure. I'll be sharing it with everybody. I'll be doing lives and talking all about it. Ray, I can't tell you how much I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Please, you and Jess, keep showing up, keep doing what you do. You are a light in tens of thousands of lives. I know I appreciate you and what you guys do, and I know so many other people do. So thank you so
much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. I hope wherever you are happy, healthy, and well. Until next time, peace out. God bless.
Bye.
Thanks, Ray.